Hello and welcome to our virtual edition of our ABCs workshop. We've been given this workshop over the past 8 years, and I can tell you, thanks to you, we have learned a lot from it and gained better knowledge and perspective along the way. Today, since this is virtual and we can't directly interact, we're going to stay focused on the key points, and then we're going to send you some follow-up emails to make sure you have a complete grasp of the information we present. We learned along the way that the workshops were loaded with great information, but it was too much to digest in one sitting. So we've modified it to address that. But don't worry, we'll still get you all the information. Even if you decide not to end up working with me at the end of this workshop, I believe that it will give you a better overall understanding of neurodevelopmental disorders and potentially open a dialogue for us to find out if we can help your specific case. We also learned that the mentality surrounding these challenges has been that of a deficit model. We've been looking at these cases through the idea that they lack something or that they are missing something. This mindset is unfortunately a widespread problem across all of healthcare. We define our health based on symptoms, and our current solution to those symptoms is to take something in order to get rid of something else, rather than looking for causes and pieces of the individual puzzle that lead to the current diagnosis. So what if we focused on healing through the cause? Do we have someone to blame for our health? Can we blame our parents, maybe our grandparents? Or do you think we play an active role in our health? It can't be predetermined before we're even born, can it? Well, what we decide today or tomorrow will affect the next 3 to 11 generations, but it doesn't actually have to define their health. Rather, how we live and how our body adapts to our environment is what determines our health. And that is called epigenetics. With epigenetics, the question becomes, are you adapting? We encounter 3 types of stress in our day: physical stress, emotional, and chemical stress. They each require us to adapt. And if our ability to adapt is compromised, that is what turns on or off a gene. This failure or loss of ability to adapt is often due to what is called a subluxation. Now, a subluxation is a misalignment or an interruption in the communication between the brain and the body, and this leads to altered function and ultimately altered output, or what we might call a symptom or a behavior. This phenomenon is described with 4 D words on this slide here, but what you really need to understand from it is the process, and it doesn't require us to add anything from the outside to correct it. It's not a deficit. These subluxations can be corrected through chiropractic care when applied correctly, and this restores the ability of the body to adapt to the stresses we mentioned earlier. There are recommendations that we will make in a few minutes on how to limit your stress load and improve your environment in an effort to improve your health. But the first hurdle is discovering why your body or your system is not adapting to your lifestyle. So let's move back to how this actually applies to neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD, autism, and anxiety. When the inability to adapt is significant enough and occurs early on in life, it can impact how our nervous system develops and how balanced or imbalanced it is. The more imbalance we have the more lowered adaptability we have. And it increases our stress response. This increase in stress response can lead to gaps in brain development and lead to behaviors. Behaviors that many of you are probably here to learn more about. Now, in previous workshops, I have focused a lot on individual behaviors. But as I mentioned before, I've learned a lot over the years. And now we focus more on what behaviors teach us. Every behavior is actually a window into your child's developing brain. And if we can shift our mindset from correction of the behavior to an understanding of the behavior, we will start to head down a path of finding the cause of the said behaviors. And this will also help us to identify who we may need on our care team and if we're making any progress with our current or new management plan. Taking that approach of correcting bad behaviors only sets us up for failure, which is what I used to do. This would inevitably put us into a situation where the only metric of success was resolution of the one or two behaviors that led you to our office. I know. It's why many of you are here. Because you have or your school has identified a problem or a behavior and you need help fixing it. I get that. But I also want to help you shift that mindset of your child being broken or that he or she is missing something and help you understand that this behavior or this problem is actually a window into their brain and we actually need it to happen in order to learn how to help them. I mean, odds are by the time you make it to this website or this webinar, you have someone on your team working on changing that output or that behavior through therapies of some sort. Many of these therapies focus on the output and try to retrain the output rather than identifying why the output is happening. Don't get me wrong, you need them on your team at some point. But what if we shifted and looked for errors in input, errors in communication? What if we looked for these subluxations first? If that was our approach, we could focus on improving the life expression and experience of our children and look at this from an optimal lens instead of a normal lens. Because after all, isn't that what we want? Our children to thrive to their optimal level? Can we help them define what their optimal is? What can be done? We need to look at how we can improve the ability or the capacity to adapt. We should look on ways to improve the efficiency of the stress response and probably most importantly, improve parasympathetic tone or what we call the brake pedal or the calming part of our nervous system. We absolutely need to build a team around your kiddo. And I think that team needs to start with a chiropractor. We should start with the input and the communication in the nervous system and then build from there. Therapists specific to your need, like a family counselor, so you're all on the same page. And even some nutritional help. I've been, working on trying to find a great pediatric nutritionist, but I've also found this great online resource for you to just study on your own terms, and it's called Nutrition Prep School, and there's actually something called the ADHD diet, and you'll get a link for that in your email. But no matter what we do, we need to take action. And I think step one should really be a virtual consultation to find out, hey, where are we, what team do we have, and what pieces are missing. I mean, I could go on for hours, believe me. I used to go on for about 90 minutes. But, like I said, I've learned your time is valuable, your schedules are full, and you just need the truth. So I'm going to continue to provide you information through your email over the next few days. So make sure to stay tuned for that and respond with any questions you may have. I truly hope you've gained valuable information from this webinar and maybe challenged your way of approaching this just enough to take the steps needed to achieve the outcome you desire for your child. So I want to thank you for joining us, and I look forward to connecting with you soon via your virtual consultation, and we will give you all the information on how to do that in a follow-up email. So thank you. I appreciate your time. Have an amazing rest of your day.